Bone is with us here to talk about it this morning. How you doing, Bone?
I'm doing good, Gary. How are you?
Doing well. Hey, listen, I want to start with Freddie Roach and his impact. I don't even know if anything's going to be announced, but if you follow social media, it's clear he's out on the road recruiting for Alabama already, pictures with prospects and so forth. But let me ask you about his impact. Obviously, he was held in high esteem by the new Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin. The New York Giants had offered him a position. Kiffin called him in, made him assistant head coach, recruiting coordinator, bumped up his salary. And he reportedly has a really good relationship with McKinley Jackson, who's one of the top unsigned players in the country, the big defensive tackle out of Lucedale, Mississippi. So let's talk about Roach's impact on the recruiting trail and specifically in regards to McKinley Jackson. Is that going to help Alabama with him, Bone?
Well, I don't think it hurts. There's no doubt about that. Alabama hosted McKinley Jackson this past weekend for an unofficial visit. He already took an official visit to Alabama back here in the season. So the biggest thing for Alabama was getting him back on campus for at least an unofficial visit this month, and he made that trip. And I think things went extremely well. And then you throw in the fact that Freddie Roach is coming in, who's been recruiting McKinley Jackson for Ole Miss for some time now. I mean, really the last 2 years. So, there's that relationship there, that connection. And I think tomorrow night, McKinley Jackson will have his in-home visit with Nick Saban. And as far as we know, Freddie Roach is expected to go in-home with them as well. So that's going to be a very big in-home visit for Alabama with McKinley Jackson, because he is, no doubt, Alabama's top remaining target in this recruiting class.
Yeah, you don't have to be a recruiting analyst, and certainly you are, but just any fan can watch a little video of McKinley Jackson and see that he's a dominant interior defensive lineman, just throws high school guys around like they're rag dolls. Now, obviously, there's going to be an adjustment to the college level of play, but do you project McKinley Jackson as one of these guys that could come in and play for an SEC team right away, Bone?
I think he can. I mean, I think he definitely has that ability. He can be a part of, a really, really good defensive line class for Alabama. Last year Alabama signed a tremendous, defensive line group. Really, some great defensive ends. And you look at this year's class, and you have Timothy Smith, you have Jamarian Latham, some really good inside guys. But you add another guy like McKinley Jackson. You're kind of back to, what Alabama's used to, back when Alabama was rotating a lot of guys in and out rather than just playing, 3 guys the entire game or 4 guys the entire game. If you can continue to build that rotation, that's what Alabama wants. And, I think that they can get McKinley Jackson on board. They've got an A-plus defensive line class.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, I know it's 2 weeks away, and there's several teams that are still battling for McKinley Jackson. You got a gut feel one way or the other right now, Bone, on him?
My gut feel right now would be Alabama.
Okay.
And as you said, we're still 2 weeks away. So, there's a lot of recruiting that's still going on. But over the course of these next couple of weeks, he's expected to take an official visit to LSU this weekend, A&M next weekend, and then make that decision. So, I think as of right now, Alabama's in pretty good shape. They may try to lock it up tomorrow night, but I doubt that happens. I imagine he'll still take his official visits and wait until signing day to announce that decision.
Yeah, as you said, you get him and Tim Smith in here together in this class. Wow, your interior defensive line is going to be stout for a few years to come. All right, what about some other visitors that were in over the weekend? Give us the breakdown on that.
Well, so Alabama had 4 visitors over the weekend, McKinley Jackson being one of them. They also had 2 commitments, well, 1 signee and 1 commitment. Kyle Edwards is an Alabama signee, 4-star running back out of Destrehan High School in Louisiana. He made it into Tuscaloosa. The reason he decided to wait was because his football season went a little bit longer, played in the state championship, and he wasn't able to take that official visit. But if you're a signee, you can still take official visits to the school that you side with. So he came in for his official. And then Javon Baker, which a lot of eyes are on Javon Baker this month because he did not sign with Alabama last month. He's still, taking some visits, expected to go to Arkansas this weekend. I believe Arkansas is actually coming in today to do an in-home visit with him. But from everything I heard, everything went pretty good with him. Alabama laid out a pretty good plan for him, and they plan on keeping him on board, and I think he plans on sticking on board. He will take that visit to Arkansas this weekend, but I really don't see any change happening with him. The other guy that was in town was Cedric Van Pran, Rivals 100 offensive lineman from Louisiana, from New Orleans. Been committed to Georgia for a very long time, I think since the summer. And, with Sam Pittman leaving Georgia to become the head coach at Arkansas, kind of opening up the door for, some other schools to recruit him, including Alabama. He had a really good eye-opening experience in Tuscaloosa this weekend. Now, is it possible that they can flip him? I think there's a chance. It's hard to say which way he's going to go just because he's kind of keeping things, pretty tight-lipped at this time. But he definitely likes Alabama and, definitely giving them a chance. But looks like he's going to go back over to Georgia this weekend, then take an official visit to Florida next weekend, and then make that decision. But Alabama's definitely in the running for him.
Andrew Bone with us for the Bad to Bone Alabama Football Recruiting Report. As I said, just a couple of weekends left before the February signing period begins. What about this weekend? Some key guys coming in to Tuscaloosa this weekend?
Just a few. Enos Rakestraw, who is a defensive back out of Texas, Duncanville High School in Texas, got an offer from Alabama just a few weeks ago. Really kind of blew up after his senior season. I mean, he's gotten, only a 3-star, but gotten a lot of big-time offers, including Alabama and Georgia in the last couple of weeks. And, definitely somebody to keep an eye on. Nick Saban had an in-home visit with him on Monday night, and he's going to be coming in this weekend. And, we'll see if Alabama decides to really make a push for him or not. I think that, once they kind of get him on campus and spend some, additional time with him, let him be around other players on the team, let him see the campus, they'll kind of decide if they're really going to push for him. And I think if they do, they've got a good chance to get his commitment. Damian George, long-time Alabama commitment. He is going to be coming in this weekend for an official. I think this is going to be his only official visit. He's not going to visit anywhere else. Don't think there's anything to really, really be concerned with him. And then a big-time visitor in the 2021 class will be making his way to Tuscaloosa. Marius Mims, 5-star offensive tackle from Georgia, number 1 offensive tackle in the country. Definitely a big-time player and somebody that Alabama would love to have. I think with, once again, Sam Pittman leaving Georgia kind of opened up the door for Alabama there because Georgia was a heavy, heavy favorite for him for a long time. And as of now, he says that Alabama, LSU are his top 2 schools. So him coming in Tuscaloosa this weekend and just kind of by himself. I mean, there's going to be a couple other visitors, but he's not coming in for a junior day. He's just coming in to spend some time with the coaches, and he's definitely going to get a lot of attention this weekend from Alabama.
If you've got a question or comment for Andrew Bone in regards to recruiting, you're welcome to call in at 205-342-9904. We got a few more minutes with Bone. We'll put you on with him if you want to call in and ask a question or make a comment. Bone, I want to ask you about the latest on Jason Jones, still listed as an Alabama commitment, the big lineman out of Calera. Wants to play defensive tackle. I know that maybe Alabama sees him more as an offensive lineman. Still committed technically to the Tide, but was at Baylor last weekend. Seemed to have a great visit. He may be, if I'm correct, scheduled to go to Oregon. It's looking more and more to me like he's not going to be a part of this Alabama class. I mean, I think Alabama may have offered him a gray shirt opportunity to still be a part of signing with the Crimson Tide. What's the latest on Jones, and do you expect him to wind up elsewhere?
Well, you are correct. He did get a Baylor this weekend, seemed to have a good time out there, and then is expected to go to Oregon this weekend. Not sure what he's going to do on that final weekend yet, but as of right now, don't expect him as part of this year's class for Alabama. Now, there might be a situation where he comes in as a gray shirt or a blue shirt. Alabama's going to, I think they've already talked to him about that. As you said, they're kind of looking at him more as an offensive lineman than a defensive lineman. So as of right now, I think he probably ends up elsewhere. I just don't see him, deciding to, do a blue shirt or a gray shirt with Alabama, I think he'll probably end up, going elsewhere. Just not sure, where that place is going to be just yet. But like I said, he visited Baylor, visited Oregon, and I know Ole Miss and Georgia Tech are still in it as well with him. So we'll kind of have to just wait and see what happens.
Bone, I ask you this a lot, and it always works out. I get that, but it seems a little peculiar to me that Alabama, at the way I add it up, and you can correct me. I mean, I don't see any way in the world they can sign more than 4 guys in this February signing period. Yet they're actively recruiting, 8, 9, 10 guys. It looks out. Again, give us some insight on how that all works in terms of the numbers. If you've got 4 spots or 5 spots and you got 7 or 8 guys telling you they want to sign with you, I mean, how do you manage this?
Well, I don't think they're going to sign 7 or 8 guys. I think 4 is probably going to be the number. Maybe 5. You look at Jamil Burrows and Javon Baker, Damian George. I think all 3 of those guys are all committed. I think we'll see all of them in Alabama's class. Now, do they get 1 more? Do they get 2 more? I think that McKinley Jackson, I think that's probably their best bet right now. I mean, they're still, like I said, recruiting Cedric Van Pran, who visited this past weekend. Enos Rakestraw is going to come in for an official visit this weekend. They'll try to make a decision if they're going to make a big push for him. Alfred Collins, 4-star defensive lineman out of Texas, who got an in-home visit from Nick Saban a couple days ago. I think some of those guys are going to end up going elsewhere. Cedric Van Pran could end up sticking with Georgia, but I see it. 4, maybe 5 more guys at the most. Signing here in February.
You mentioned Collins. Alabama's continued to recruit him. Texas or Oklahoma, though, your best guess there with him?
Yeah, I'd probably lean towards Texas. And I know that Nick Saban did an in-home visit with him on Monday, spent some time with him, and he really likes Alabama a lot. I think the biggest thing with him is just getting him back on campus. He visited back there in the fall, and I think with him not coming back, I think that bodes well for Texas. He was in Austin last weekend for an unofficial visit. Don't think he's going to take any more visits, at least not one to Alabama. I think he's pretty much done. So as of right now, would lean towards him staying in state and going to Texas.
Bone, there's another Texas defensive lineman that Alabama's been recruiting. I don't have his name in front of me, so pardon me for not having it. He's got kind of a strange name. You know who I'm talking about?
I do. His name is Princely Milan.
Yeah, that's him. That's
like
him.
That. man of my land, something like that. I know who you're talking about. He's out of Manor High School in Texas. I've seen his name mentioned, by some different reporters, but Alabama's really not, that interested in him. I think he's more of a, maybe a backup plan.
Okay.
I think they went and saw him last week, not really making a push for him. Alabama's really kind of got their attention on some of these other guys, so I don't really see Alabama making a push or even, getting him down the road.
Okay. Wrapping it up with Bone for this week's Bama Football Recruiting Report. Clearly, this is that time of the year you're trying to tie up 2020. You're already working hard to put the 2021 class together. Some interest already in the the 2022 class. That's how far these guys work ahead. When all's said and done, and this 2020 class is in the books, you think Alabama will be third, second, chance still to get first? How high do you think they'll wind up finishing in recruiting rankings?
Well, I think they've got a good chance to finish 1 or 2. I really do. I think with the new rankings that have come out, Alabama now has 4 5-star commitments. William Anderson just picking up his 5th star this week. Bryce Young becoming the number 1 quarterback in the country, number 2 overall in the Rivals 100. Alabama's going to have an opportunity to potentially get, if they get McKinley Jackson, they'll have 11 Rivals 100 signees in their class. That's pretty incredible. So I think they could really challenge Clemson, especially if they get McKinley Jackson for that number 1 overall spot. And we'll just see how it goes. But I think right now, they have potential to finish number 1. really good chance to, at least finish in the top 2.
All right, great stuff as always from Andrew Bone. The deadline for this 2020 class fast approaching. 2 weeks from today is the February signing period, and Alabama will be wrapping this thing up. You're going to be covering all the way through that Wednesday and beyond, and right into the 2021 class. Let the listeners in on how they can get all your information.
Yeah, you follow me at BamaInsider.com, part of the Rivals.com network. Join our recruiting board over there, and also follow me on my Twitter handle at Andrew J. Bone, and subscribe to our Bama Insider YouTube channel.
Thank you, Bone.
Thanks, Gary. Have a good one.